So I was just wondering if you could start out by telling me a little bit about yourself and your writing.
Yeah,
And yeah, we can start there.
sure. Okay. So I am Olivia McCarthy, and I write actually in I'm just on a mission to confuse the algorithm, I think. I actually write in two very different genres right now. I have like a not pen name and then like my name. Um, the pen name is just O McCarthy, so it's like not a
Yep.
secret.
Yeah,
Um, but I have always loved reading. I've been a huge reader, a voracious reader my whole life. And I now have five kids. They are
wow,
almost
that's
12,
exciting.
9, 7, 4, and then a 2-year old.
Oh,
And
cool.
at some point, I realized I was like, I need to do something for myself, something I've always wanted to do. And so I decided, you know what, I've always wanted to be an author. I have always had this dream, like since I was in high school and then even through college, like I want to publish books.
Exciting.
And the landscape of publishing has changed so much
It has.
since I first had that dream. And so I ended up doing the independent publishing route, which just made the most sense for me with my timeline and the fact that, like, I need to just be able to be in charge of the timing of it because I can't control when things go crazy with five kids. It's just going to happen.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so
Um,
exciting though.
yeah. So I published my first book. It took me like 10 years from
Okay.
the time I had the idea and the time that I started kind of thinking about it. And then it like kept coming back and it wouldn't leave me alone. And I was like, okay, let's do this.
That's when you
So
know. That's when you know you're like, I need to get this out.
that's right. So I published my first book. It released November of 2024.
Cool.
And I learned so much about how you should not release a book right before a presidential election.
Oh,
So
yes.
there's
That
my
and holidays, they say.
there's my free tip. I like especially a dystopian book. Like
Oh,
do not release dystopian books right before a US presidential election. Just
yeah.
don't do it.
Just don't do
Bad
it.
idea.
Note to self, everyone who wants to do publish a book like that, don't do it before an election.
That's right. Yes. But that being said, the fact that it is in fact a YA dystopian book has meant that those people who were reading it were people who were really looking for it. So it was well received. It just
Yes.
wasn't like going to be a giant blockbuster hit right away.
Right. Okay.
Right out of the gate, it was not. But that's okay because you're learning. You're always learning.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's a little bit about my story, but I ended up just falling in love with writing. It's the
Cool.
thing I do for me. And, it's very fun for me to have a little escape from the daily. And the other thing is, I think because I read so much as a kid, my imagination is like really overactive. So
I
it's
love
very
that.
it's a
Yeah.
good use of the imagination to be like,
Right.
oh, I'm going to create fictional worlds or fictional people and have fictional things happen to them instead of
Yeah.
like worrying. Um,
That's so
so
funny. Like, I seriously swear I have the same problem.
I have a 63 book series that I decided to start
Oh
because
my
why not?
gosh,
And there's like a
63?
reason for that many.
Oh, that's
But
cool.
yeah. So for people who love the national parks, there are
Yeah.
63 national parks.
Oh my gosh, you already
And
have me hooked. I love national parks. Love them.
good.
So I need to hear this.
Okay. So I we're talking about a different book, but this book is coming in September.
Okay.
And
Yep.
I'm super excited about it because I fell in love with the national parks like last year, and
Cool.
we decided we were going to start going to them as a family. And my husband and I are going to some of the ones that's harder to bring kids to, but just by
Yep.
ourselves. And I was like, gosh, people love the national parks, and it would be so fun to write interconnected standalones that
Yes.
you can read in any order, but that
Hmm.
go with each national park. So
I
as we're
love
visiting,
it.
I'm getting story ideas.
Yeah,
So yeah, so the first one is coming out in September,
that is
and
so cool.
yay!
Yeah.
So I'm super excited. I haven't dropped the title. I have just dropped a little cover teaser today on Instagram.
Cool.
But yeah, like the title is just perfection. So I can't
You
wait.
know,
Um,
can you release what national park or not yet?
it's the one in West Virginia.
Okay. Okay, cool. Very cool. I've never been to that one before. Have you been
It's my favorite.
to Yellowstone or Glacier by chance?
I have not been there yet. So we live in Michigan, so we have been going to the ones that are more driving distance right
Right.
now. Our family was actually on vacation last week. We just got back from Mammoth Cave and Indiana Dunes.
Oh,
Um,
fun. Yep.
so the ones that I'm kind of starting with are the ones that I can drive to.
Okay.
And then as we go there, and then as I make my way west, I get
Yes.
to,
Oh, cool.
but I have like all my little punny titles already all figured
Oh my
out.
gosh, I
And
love it.
I am a huge fan of writing stories based on places that I've been.
Right.
So that's like one of the things that was super cool about the book that we're talking about
Yes.
today. Which,
Superior Hearts. Can you tell me a little
yes,
bit about that and everything? I
yeah. So this is
love the
the book,
title.
and it
It's
is
very Midwestern and very Michigan, Minnesota, like very, yeah, I love it.
you know where it's taking place just by looking at it, and I
Yes, I love
appreciate
it.
that. So I'm on a bit of a mission to make Michigan represented in a positive way in
There you go.
literature.
Yep.
I'm sure in North Dakota, you also have people whose perception is just like frigid polar barren wasteland. Um,
Yes. Just a Poland, just very wasteland, very cold. No one wants to come here. And
yes. So I have a funny story. So when my husband and I lived in Texas for like 18 months when we were first married, and we're both from Michigan. We went to
okay,
Michigan State for college. That's where we met. I've lived here almost my whole life except
that's
for when I
awesome.
lived in Texas. And my husband was working. I was a stay-at-home mom at the time with just one baby. And so my husband came home and he goes, "Oh yeah, I was telling someone we're from Michigan." And their response was, "Oh, you guys," well, they were from Texas, so I think they said
Yep.
y'all are the ones with that thing on top. They
Oh,
meant the Upper Peninsula.
oh no, the Upper Peninsula. Oh no.
So
Oh,
I just,
that thing on top. Yeah,
the
that's
Upper
part
Peninsula,
of the land,
guys,
but
it's
yeah,
awesome.
that's
And
so
that
funny.
is actually where Superior Hearts takes place. It takes place in the Upper Peninsula, on the
Cool.
shores of Lake Superior, and in the fictional town of Viewport, Michigan, a little bit in Marquette, which is fictionalized in Marquette, but also like Little Presque Isle, which is actually on the cover back
I
here,
love
is a
it.
real place. And
Yeah.
like they do some real things, but not a ton. Most of it's fictional, just
Yeah.
so you don't get in trouble as an author.
Right.
But like the setting of everything was just very much inspired by what it looks like when you're up
Oh,
there and what
that's
you get to
so cool.
experience when you are. I'm saying up there because I live in like the bottom part of the
Oh,
state.
sure. Yep.
Um, so to me,
It's
that's
up
like,
there for me too. Yeah, up and over there.
yeah, up over, up there. The joke is that people who live in the UP, they call people like me who cross the bridge to come to the UP trolls. So
Oh,
I'm a
really?
troll,
That is
not by
funny.
choice.
Oh my gosh, I would never have known that. That is interesting. I guess it kind of goes back to that old lore of, crossing the bridge and paying the toll, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah. You got to
funny.
pay the toll to go over the Mackinac Bridge. But we love the Upper Peninsula. I would move there in a heartbeat. The
Oh,
issue
cool.
is just the economy isn't as robust up there because of industry and things
Sure.
like that. The winters are longer up
Yeah,
there. But the month of August is like if you are going to visit the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, just go in August. It's beautiful. It's
cool.
like they have this one month of absolute just perfection. And I
Oh,
I love snow and
yeah.
I love winter, but a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
So that's my caveat. But um anyways, back to Superior Hearts. So this is Superior Hearts Summer, which gives you a little clue about
Cool.
what's happening next, which is that there's
Oh,
going to be a book set in this area for each of the
each
seasons.
season. I
Yes.
love your creativity and how you kind of connect, your stories to like a series idea that has a bigger theme, which I
Yes.
really love that.
Yes. Yeah. So that one, this was my first romantic comedy, and I just had so much fun writing it. One of my favorite parts is they're at a summer camp for like leadership growth for Christian preteens. And
Cool.
um, this is written for adults. There's no explicit stuff in it.
Okay.
I don't write that, but the the teens are just hilarious, or the preteens are just hilarious. Like they are just all up in their business
Uh-huh.
and trying to figure out what's going on, and just also being like very much themselves. Like if
Yeah.
you've ever been around preteens, you just know
Oh,
there's like
totally.
you can't be around them and not have comedic relief. So there's some good comedic relief there
That's
at the
true.
summer camp, which is it was just really fun to write.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's great. So having the dystopian and the rom-com, how was that, moving over from just dystopian to YA dystopian to rom-coms? What is maybe some of the what are the biggest things that were really different for you? Or was it really easy?
Well, um, the YA dystopians have been so much fun to write, and I'm actually drafting book 3 right now. So I've got
Oh,
the I have 2 of them right here. I have there. It's a trilogy,
okay.
and the covers are very different. I
Very
actually use the
cool.
same cover designer for all of my stories. Um,
Cool.
so just like different vibe for sure when you
Yep.
are thinking about thinking about the genres. But it was really like dystopian and science fiction have been some of my favorite things to read when I was younger.
Very cool.
And as I got older and started having kids, I lost my dad. Like I had some postpartum depression type stuff. Like as that started happening to
Right.
me, I needed lighter stories. I needed
Okay.
stories that were full of hope and that were full of joy and that were just like loving and just
Right.
gentler. And so I'm actually very well read at the moment in the romantic comedy genre. And
So
I'm
cool.
more well read in the dystopians of like the early
Oh,
2000s and the
sure.
2010s. I haven't kept up with that as much. But what that meant was it was so fun for me to write a story with the dystopians that isn't like a story people have read,
Okay.
because I'm not so deep in it right
Mhm.
now that like I just had a different perspective
Okay.
on that. So that was fun. And then my oldest daughter is turning 12, and so these are books that I can share with her and that
Cool.
her friends can read. And so that's been really fun.
Oh, I love
Your
that.
Google searches look a little different depending on which one you're writing.
Okay.
So
I'm sure.
one of them was like, what happens if you go outside on Mars without being covered? And it's not good.
No,
But
I can
then, like,
imagine.
for the romantic comedies, you're like, what is the weather like in this place at this time? It's like, it's
Yep.
very
Oh, that
different.
is so funny. I'm sure your algorithm's like, where are we right now? We don't know if we're in Superior, Upper Peninsula, or if we're on Mars.
Yes. And
That's
basically,
funny.
this is just my way to confuse the algorithm. The
That's
algorithm is
funny.
ridiculous, and I just want to confuse it.
But
But
I've
actually, I would
seen
like to
people
sell
doing
books.
it though, it comes a point where like social media, if you have more than one, it's just too much to,
Yes,
you know,
for sure.
too much to, hold on to. But since you're from Michigan, I guess that kind of leads into the next question with like your book Superior Hearts, with the culture of Michigan and just Michigan. How did that inspire your book?
Yeah. So the first thing is, I really wanted to write a story set in that area, mostly because I love that area, but also I kept thinking about that person from Texas who didn't know it was called the Upper
Oh,
Peninsula. And
that's
I was like,
so
I'm going to
funny.
clap back here a little. Um,
Hey, that's funny. I
it's like,
love that.
I'm going to get it. But there were just some very unique things. My younger sister completed her master's degree up at Northern, which is the university in Marquette. And then I was there last year in August, and I'd had an idea for the story and I kind of knew what I was doing, but I really let it take shape kind of as I like was taking pictures and seeing things and getting ideas
Yep.
for things. And the thing about people who live in the UP, they call themselves Upers. We call them Upers. Um, they are
Cool.
like generous, kind, hardworking. They're just good, like as a
Ah,
general thing. Um, and so it's a very different pace of life up there. And
okay.
it makes it really fun to kind of explore that.
Oh,
Like
cool.
there's not a lot of, well, there is some social media in the book, but
Hmm.
like there's not a ton of like social media is causing an issue in the book. And there's much more just like being out and involved in nature and doing things out there because that's just what life's like out there.
Right.
Um, you just are like you're surrounded by such beauty and there's so
Mhm.
many things outside to do that like you're gonna go do those things.
I love
Um,
that.
as opposed to maybe I live in a much more suburban area and it's like okay, like I can go outside but I'm gonna like walk on the sidewalk and not the trail,
Sure.
and then I'm gonna have to walk by the busy road for a minute, and then I'm gonna have like all the fumes from all the cars, but like up there
Oh,
you don't have that.
yeah.
It's really nice.
Hmm.
um
Yeah.
unless you're walking on the road, then you would, but
Right. That is
right.
funny.
Yeah, just access to even like the lake, like Lake Superior, just it's
Mm,
there and it's beautiful and it impacts, you know, if you go out to dinner and you can see the lake, it's beautiful. And if you are swimming, like you're probably swimming in the lake and it's wonderful. And
oh,
like the little island where they were, like that's an actual place. You can really walk across a sandbar and get there. And
that's so
um,
cool.
I was definitely very inspired by the setting as I
Okay.
was writing the story. So I think, like, as far as the culture of Michigan goes, like, very much being outside,
Right.
especially when you're in the Upper Peninsula, and like, you don't go to the Upper Peninsula to sit inside.
No.
So that I think that's probably the biggest thing that came through. But also just like kind-hearted, hardworking people. Like, there's not a lot of villains in the
Yeah,
story. I mean, there's kind of one, but like, there's not a lot of bad people
that's
in
good.
this.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that how you brought that into your book and everything. So I have had to ask all my writers that question and everything just about like their book, and it's been such an interesting question. I love that. So for you, what comes first, the character or the plot?
Oh, wow. That's a really great question. For me, it's the plot.
The plot. Okay. Yep.
Yep.
Cool. I love that.
Although maybe it depends on the book. Oh my gosh, I don't know. I have
Oh
to
my
think about
goodness,
this
that's so funny.
now. For the dystopians, the plot.
Yep.
I think for the romantic comedies, it very much depends.
Yep.
Um, for this particular one, for Superior Hearts, it was the plot.
The plot.
For New
Okay,
River
cool.
Gorgeous, oh, I just told you the title. It's New River Gorgeous.
I love that. It's so cute. Oh my
It's
word.
so fun. For that one, I was inspired by a character, but also then like the character has to kind of have like a reason to be the way the character is,
Right.
and so then you kind of have to like that was kind of like a mesh
A
of
little bit
like
of both.
I need, yeah, that
I
one. But I
love
think
that.
for the most part, it's for me, it's usually the plot.
Usually the plot.
Um,
Okay, cool. I
I had
love
to
that.
really work through that.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, for me, I instantly get the idea of like this character, like this person. And it's so funny because my husband, he's toying with the idea of writing a story too, and he gets plot right away. And so it's like sometimes I'm like, I have this idea about this character named blah blah blah, and this is what, this is really cool. They'd be here or, a place or something. And he's like, but what's the story? I'm like, I don't have that yet. I have the
That
character
is,
and the place, but I haven't quite figured out their problem. So,
yeah. And I think it's funny how it all clicks together like a puzzle. And there are
yeah,
some people who like look at a puzzle box and they're like, I'm gonna find all four corner pieces and I'm gonna, work in that way. And then there's other people who just are like, oh, I'm gonna do all the like flowers and
yeah,
like so I think the end result is still a great
I love
thing.
that
Like you still get a
description.
book out of your writing process. It's just where you start and how you build. So I
I
think it's okay
love
to do it
that.
either way. I
That's a
really
wonderful way of putting it. The puzzle comparison was great for me.
Oh, good. Hopefully it
I
helps.
love that. Yeah, I'm the girl over there putting the flowers together.
I can't do puzzles to save my life. So it's like I give
That's
up. Too much. Too much work.
a love-hate relationship type question for
Sure.
authors. For Superior Hearts, what was the major inspiration for that? Like, was it that Texas person saying that thingy up there, or was it something else that kind of was
So,
like, yes, need to write that?
in some ways, yes, and in other ways, no. I hate to be vague, but I'm going to be just a little bit like
That's
she can't
okay.
make up her mind. So I'm also a runner. So
Oh,
I
cool.
run.
Yep.
And I was running last year, and I was thinking about how I was going to go up to the UP and I was going to be running the Marquette Half Marathon.
Cool.
And so I did that. And as I was
Awesome.
running, I was kind of like thinking, because there's not a lot of other things to do when you run,
Right.
my imagination takes over. Um,
Thank goodness for
and
that
I was like,
imagination.
I was like, well, what if I wrote a story like this? And then I just started like putting my favorite things together,
Oh,
as
cool.
far as like tropes go. And I was like, oh, and then this could happen and this could happen. And I love the weather. So I was like,
Oh,
oh, let's make sure there's a
perfect.
really big storm. Um,
Oh,
and then like my favorite trope is he takes care of her or
oh,
he
cool.
protects her. And so like I just ended up like it just kind of rolled like a snowball from there, because that's how my imagination works. But definitely, I think it was the fact that I had wanted to go to the Upper Peninsula to run this race. And then we were going, and I was just thinking about it as I was running. And then the story just kind of came to me. One of the things that I discovered is that it is a little bit of a challenge to sell YA dystopian sci-fi books in this day and age. And
Oh,
it's a little bit easier to sell romantic comedies.
okay.
I wouldn't say it's easy by any means, but I
Yeah,
was like, you know what? I love reading these. So why wouldn't I also want to write what I like to read?
exactly.
Um, so as I was like reading through this, I was doing, my proofread throughs with the proof copy and my pen and making sure that like all the formatting was okay. And I was like, I I wrote the book I wanted to read. Like
Oh, that's
I
so exciting.
I loved rereading it. To the point I was reading it before bed, and my husband goes, "It's time to unplug, Olivia. It's time to go to bed." And I was like, "One more chapter." He's like, "Didn't you write the book?"
You write it? Yeah,
Yes,
that's awesome.
but you don't understand how good it is. Um,
I love that. Oh my gosh.
he did end up, he likes to read my books on Kindle Unlimited, and he's like,
Oh,
I'm going to give you
cool.
page reads. It's like,
Yeah,
thank you.
that's awesome, right? Then
He
you
did
get
end up
those
reading
page
it.
reads and paid. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
that was
cool.
funny. But like, really wanting to write the book that I wanted to read, and that was fun. And it's not that I don't want to read my YA dystopian sci-fis. I really enjoy writing
Oh,
those, but
totally.
the process is different.
I'm sure.
And writing like characters who are younger than you is different. When it's a different process, it's a different feel, it's a good way to use your
Oh,
imagination
totally.
in a different way, so you don't feel like you're just churning out the same story over and over again. I
Right.
know as some authors publish more and more books, sometimes they start to feel kind of burned out,
Oh,
and I think writing in two different genres kind of prevents that,
oh,
because
that's
you're
awesome.
switching your focus a little bit. um, Although it is a much slower process for me to write the dystopians.
Okay. Interesting. That's really interesting. It's very cool though to see that, because like writing the two different genres, like I like fantasy and also rom-coms or romance and stuff. So I've got that there too. Just haven't released any fantasy stuff yet.
Well, that's
That's
a huge
exciting.
seller. I'm not a huge fantasy buff in by any
Okay.
means. I will read it occasionally, but like I cannot do high fantasy. I think it's just too
Sure.
much for my brain.
Sometimes it can
Um,
be a little too much. Yeah.
it's just too much. Like
Yeah.
I'm reading to relax, not to
There you
not to
go.
fight battles.
Yeah,
Um,
I completely get that.
but I do read 1 to 2 fantasy books a year just to kind of stay up on it. And I actually just finished reading for an author friend. I did an alpha read for her, and
Oh,
it
cool.
was so much fun to read it. And I think that's something that's fun too, is to read in a different genre than what you
Uh-huh.
write or what you typically pick up.
Yep.
Um, so yeah,
Yeah, you
I
can
don't know where
learn
I was going
so
with that,
much.
but
I
that's okay.
love that. Absolutely. Okay, and then so if your main characters from your book ended up going on a vacation, a road trip, let's say, since we're going on this road trip right now, where would they go?
I can answer that really, really well, because they
Okay.
actually make a cameo. They go on vacation in my next book. So the main characters from Superior Hearts end up at New River Gorge,
I love
which
it.
is so fun to have them do a little series crossover, and
I
you get a
love
little
that.
glimpse into where they are a couple years down the road in their lives, or a year or
That's
two down the road
cool.
in their lives. And that was fun. So, actually, they talk in the next book about what they do and how they do it,
Yep.
and they have what they call an adventure week, and
Cool.
they just drive where they want to go, and then they just like don't really plan it. They just
Oh,
see where
fun.
they end up, which I thought was really fun.
Yeah.
Um, I once saw a doctor, she's a midwife actually,
Okay.
who for her spring break every year, her and her husband would get in the car and drive south until it hit 60 degrees.
Oh
And then
my,
wherever they
that's so
stopped, where it
funny.
was 60 degrees, they stayed. And I was
That
like,
is really funny. I love that.
that sounds unplanned, but
And it's different
okay.
every year, I'm sure.
Yeah, so they like some years they had to go all the way to Florida. Some years it was like Kentucky. Some years it
Oh,
was like I guess we're staying
funny.
in Ohio. I guess.
That
Um,
is so awesome. I love that. Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
so that is what the main characters in Superior Hearts end up doing is they go on a road trip to West Virginia to New River Gorge.
Yep.
The characters in Superior Hearts are Paige and Connor.
Okay.
And my readers have told me, a couple of them have told me that Connor is just the greenest green flag to ever exist. And I was like, fictionally. So, he's fictional.
Awesome.
Um,
Chanel.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
That
but
is
I thought that was
awesome.
very much something they would do is they would get in a car and they'd just drive and they'd go see a friend and they
Cool.
would just kind of not plan their week super in advance and just kind of be a
Wow.
little spontaneous.
I love that. How
Yeah.
did
The other thing I wanted to say is because we were talking for a minute about the dystopians,
Yep.
they actually also have Michigan tie-ins.
Oh, they do.
So,
Okay.
like this in this one, where the female main character is from is actually set in futuristic times, but is Michigan. And
Oh,
then
cool.
in this one, you find out where the resistance is actually in the Upper Peninsula.
I
Um,
love it. I love it.
and in the third book, which I'm drafting right now,
Yep.
they have to return to Earth. And where do you think they're going to return?
Michigan, right? I
That's
love
right.
that.
So
Okay.
that's been really fun. And like if you were reading those books and you see, I like the weather and I like maps, so I
Yeah.
sound like a huge nerd, which is fun because I am. But
That's awesome.
if you check the coordinates, if I ever mention coordinates for where things are, it
Oh,
will point you to actual places. Which
very cool. I love that. Oh my goodness. Oh
yes, I
my.
do love that
That's
book.
so exciting. Yeah, I just love that you've pulled Michigan into every avenue of your writing, and that's just so evident and cool. I think that's really neat.
Yes. The one thing I do want to say is for Superior Hearts, there are Christian themes,
Okay.
and the characters are Catholic. I'm also Catholic, so
Cool.
that made
Yep.
sense, and it was super fun to write.
Yep.
For the dystopians, I am a Christian, so there's nothing
Right.
in there that is against Christianity in any way, but
Okay.
it's um, more of a general thing
Yeah. That's
versus
awesome.
more specific. Like in Superior
Okay.
Hearts, it's like it's a romantic comedy with Christian themes. I can do that.
Yeah.
Whereas with the dystopians, it's very post-apocalyptic.
Right.
They're on Mars, definitely a very different
Oh,
take on a
totally.
story. And so, I can't totally separate who I am from what I'm
Right.
writing. But as far as like overt Christian themes, that's going to be under the pen name Olivia Hope McCarthy, which is
Okay. Yep.
almost my name. And then for the dystopians, O McCarthy is going to be like YA dystopian
Okay.
sci-fi. And I wrote those so that way there could be like some sort of quality literature that didn't have like adverse themes that
Oh,
I felt
sure.
uncomfortable for my own kids.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that will never be in my books is open door, like explicit scenes.
Right.
So I've been, I don't want to say they're clean
Okay.
necessarily. In Superior Hearts, there is a little bit of alcohol use, and it makes
Yeah.
sense in the story.
Yeah.
And it definitely helps show growth
Yeah.
for the character that is experiencing what's going on. It's not even a main character who's using it, but like I still don't feel like I can use the word clean, even though I
Right.
don't use like swearing or I don't have any of that open door stuff, but I still feel like I don't quite fit that clean mold. So
Right.
I've been saying, Kiss is only romantic comedy,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
then like my list of warnings, it just says, in the bonus scene, which you have to choose to get, it's a fade to black between a married couple, and
Okay.
it's very much like so mild compared to a lot of other things I've read.
Right.
Like, I just, I think one of the things we can do as authors is just be so upfront, like, hey, this is what I write. This is what I'm comfortable writing. If you're not comfortable reading this, then like it's not going to work, and that's
Right.
okay. But also, like, I'm so glad when I see another author who just says, like, this is what I write. Like, there are, a few uses of this word in this book, or there is one attempted assault scene. It's like, oh,
Right.
then I'm not blindsided by it.
Exactly. And then you
Um,
definitely really respect that writer for sharing that too, because I feel like sometimes those things can be traumatic for readers and stuff. So like knowing that ahead of time, they can decide what they want to do with it.
exactly. Well, and that's the thing too, is it's like, you can just go into a story blind if you're not bothered by a lot of things. Like, if you are bothered by the fact that I have a content warning on that page, like, you can skip it.
Right.
But if
Yep.
you need a content warning, then you need it. And I think,
Yep.
like, there are different points in people's lives where sometimes you might need to know something's going on,
Right.
because a book is not there for you to relive your traumas.
Yep.
A book is there to provide entertainment. And like, nobody
Exactly.
wants to relive, someone dying from cancer
No, if that was
in their
something they experienced, in
fictional
real life.
book.
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of my take on content warnings. I'll
I
always have
love
one in
that.
there. So if people are like, "Oh, I wonder what this is about. I wonder if I'm comfortable with it."
Yep.
Um, it's right there. It's like, I don't know, like 4 pages in.
Awesome. That's
It's like
good to
right
know.
there.
Okay.
So yeah, so if
Cool.
people want to check it out, they can, and they can see those content warnings
Yeah.
and make
And
sure it's the book for them.
wondering
With
where can people find your book and you?
Sure. Okay. So I just started a TikTok, and I have not figured it out at all, but I am on TikTok, more active on Instagram, and that is Olivia McCarthy author on
Okay.
Instagram.
Sounds good.
Um, And then you can purchase any of my books on Amazon,
Okay.
barnesandnoble.com. If you go on to Ingram Spark, you could purchase right from the distributor there. Or
Awesome.
all my books are on Kindle Unlimited.
Well, thank you so much for the chat, and I superly enjoyed this. So thank you.
I'm so glad. I hope it was helpful. And I can't wait to
Was.
hear about all the other books on your road trip.
Oh, yes, totally. And I'm so excited. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure.
Thanks for riding shotgun on the Romance Reading Road Trip. I'm so excited for you to be joining this journey with us. Be sure to go down to the video description below and sign up for the passport. You're not going to want to miss out on it.